What is up, everybody? Welcome to Comicbook Addicts, episode 12. I hope everybody's doing okay this evening or today, whatever time it is, wherever you are. I hope everybody's doing all right. Well, let's check the chats and see who we got in here. We have Madam Blaster. She says, I'm first. I'm the first. Thanks for stopping in. We got TM Nerdy. I'm second. Yep, you're second, Travis. I hope you're having a good day, man. Collecting with Durs. Hello, my beautiful homies. Just got home from work. Got this rocking in the background. Nice, dude. Well, I hope that you had a good day at work and hope you have a good evening. We got Comiverse. What is up, Tony? He says, what's going on, dudes and dudettes? What's going on, Tony? I hope you're having a good day, man. I got your mug right here. Thanks again for that. Tell Kim that I said thank you. Let's see. We have Dr. Von Hoots Comics from the Spiral Dimension. He says, evening all. What's going on, man? I'm glad you could make it out. Glad to see you in the chat. Cali Comics says, I'm ready. What's up, man? I hope you're doing okay. Let's see. We got Comics by the Bay, Matt. He says, what is up, Scotty? Got you on the comic book room screen. Awesome, dude. I'm honored. I'm glad that you could make it out, and I hope you're having a good day. Hope you're doing all right, man. We got Bryant, couching and slouching with C. Bizzle, who recently hit a milestone. He says, yo, hey, everyone. What's up, Brian? I hope you're doing all right, man. We got Evil's Comics, Mike. He says, hey, Scott. What's going on, Mike? I hope you're doing okay. Hope you're having a good day. Let's see. We'll go ahead and jump into the comic book community news, shout outs and community news, because I want to get our guest on. I'm excited to talk to our guest tonight. But anyways, community news. I wanted to shout out Collecting with Durs. He recently hit 700, and I'm not even sure if he said anything about it or not, but he did. He hit 700 a couple days ago, I noticed, and he's a close friend of mine and a really awesome member of the community. So I wanted to shout him out. And if you've never checked out his channel, he does a live, kind of like a comic book hangout session, Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And he does Friday positivity videos every week. Really cool. He's just a cool guy. But go check him out if you never have. TM Nerdy is less than 25 away from 800. Travis is awesome. Really cool member of the community. He's actually going to be doing Between the Lines with Roscoe at 8:35 tonight. But he's a really cool guy, and he's real close to hitting 800. So if you haven't subscribed to him, please go subscribe to TM Nerdy. I also wanted to shout out a couple of new people that I met the other night. I was on a live comic book show and tell on Lady Fantastic's channel. And I wanted to shout out Lady Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time. It was a blast, and I hope to come back on and hang out again. But I wanted to shout out some people that I'd never had the opportunity to meet Rob before, Rob Worst. I think his channel name is Not Near Mint, but Rob is a really cool guy, and I had a good time talking to him and looking at his amazing collection of comic books. This guy's got a crazy collection, everything from Golden Age to modern, but just a lot of Golden and Silver Age goodness. But his collection is crazy, and I wanted to shout him out. I had a good time, and also wanted to shout out Tacoma Comics and Hudak Comics. They were both on there as well. Both really cool people and members of the community. Let's see, what else do I have here? Next week on Comic Book Addicts, Circumstances will join me to welcome writer-creator of the comic book series titled Shanghai. So that's going to be a fun one. His name's Severin Salier. Seems like a really cool dude. The book's cool. I enjoyed the 2 issues that I read. So it's going to be a fun show. You guys be sure that you come back next week and check that out. The 17th, I have Chris from Chris Loves Comics. Chris is one of my comic book homies from the Comic Corner 2.0 group on Facebook. He has a passion for DC. The guy knows tons about DC Comics. So I'm really excited to get him on to talk about that, because that's kind of my weak point when it comes to comic collecting. Probably DC would be my weak point. But it's going to be a lot of fun. April 24th, Circumstances will be back once again to help me welcome Jonathan Hedrick If you don't know who Jonathan Hedrick is, he is writer, creator of The Recount Preamble, Dream Master, Capable, Caffeinated Hearts, and a bunch of other really cool titles. So that's going to be a really cool one. And tonight after the show, be sure to flip over to Roscoe's channel for Between the Lines with Geek Out with Roscoe and TM Nerdy. This week's guest is going to be Tony, Old Wolf 65. So that's going to be a cool show. But let's kick this music off. I want to bring out the guest. Tonight's guest is an awesome member of the community. He has a really cool YouTube channel, if you've never checked it out, by the same name. And he is the founder and president of the CBC Awards. So very honored to have tonight on the show, Brian LCS. What's going on, Brian? How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm honored to have you here.
I'm glad there's no co-host Marcus tonight because he's a big pain in my ass. So I'm glad he's not here.
Well, I'm sure he's chomping at the bit. I'm sure he wished he could be in here. He's ready, that's for sure. But anyways, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about yourself first off, just for anybody out there at home that may not know much about Brian LCS. But where are you from originally, and where did you grow up?
Born and raised in Long Island, and I've pretty much lived here all of my life. I moved when I was in my mid-20s for a year, down to Florida for a year, and then came back. So pretty much, New Yorker my entire life.
Awesome. Well, I ask almost everybody I've had here this question, but what got you into comics originally? What's your earliest memory of comics?
Well, my earliest memory of superheroes had to be the 66 Batman 66 Adam West. I remember watching those as a kid, like 3 or 4 years old on reruns. And my first toys that I had were the Mego superhero figures. I had Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. And I used to sit and watch the show and have the toys, whoever was on that episode, Batman and Robin versus the Penguin or the Joker. And I would sit there and, play with the toys and watch the show. And then I don't really remember how I discovered Spider-Man. I don't know if it was cartoon, but I remember watching the cartoons, and I just fell in love with Spider-Man. And I think it really had to do with the proximity to where I lived because of, the character lives in Queens. He's in New York City. And so I'm like, a couple counties over, a half-hour drive from Queens. And that hooked me. Like, as a young kid, I thought I could go to Queens and see Spider-Man, or I could go into New York City and see him swinging around. And so that was that instant connection, just the proximity. And then, I found comic books when I was old enough, to be able to read. I found comic books and continued to watch, all of the different animated Spider-Man series over the years, and just really grew to love the character as I got older into my teenage years, could relate to him as as an awkward teen. And so, yeah, I mean, that was kind of the two things that really, connected me with him. And then, I've been a Spider-Man fan ever since.
And in case people at home don't know, that's what the LCS stands for in Brian LCS, is loves collecting Spidey, correct?
It does now. When I initially started my YouTube channel, I got back into collecting, and I heard everybody mentioning LCSs, and I was like, I didn't know what the acronym stood for. And so, but I heard everybody using it, and then I quickly figured out that it was local comic shop. Yes. And so I said, well, if I might as well put that in my name. And my actual channel name was just LCS in the beginning.
Okay.
But people really thought that I owned a comic shop, and so that was a little confusing. But I really just used it because I said, well, people use it a lot in the community, and maybe they'll search on it and maybe they'll find my channel. That was my reasoning for the name. And then at some point, I think maybe even Mark from Legion maybe suggested it to me about maybe changing my name and adding, Brian, and keeping LCS. And so that's what I did. And then people were still confusing that they thought I owned a comic shop or worked at a
Yeah.
comic shop. And so that's why I kind of asked everybody what they thought it stood for. And then Loves Collecting Spidey was, one of the suggestions that people came up with. So it's kind of
Okay.
stuck.
Okay. Cause yeah, I mean, I have to admit at first, when I first heard the name Brian LCS, I thought, well, he must be a comic shop owner.
Right. Right. Yeah, I
But
could definitely see where that could be confusing. So,
so how did you get started? What made you what made you want to start the YouTube channel?
I used to run a personal finance blog,
Uh-huh.
and I did that for about 7 years. And so, and it kind of ended right before the pandemic. It kind of had run its course, and I was getting a little burnt out on, I was basically writing articles and posting them on the website, and I was getting a little burnt out on it, and so I ended up selling that. I sold it to somebody, and basically all of the articles and things. And I had a lot of free time on my hands now, and it was right around the start of the pandemic,
Yeah.
and I was working from home, and so the combination of being home and having a lot of additional spare time, I had about three, and I had three long boxes and a short box
Mm-hmm.
collect books that I've collected, when I first started in the 80s that I've been toting around for all these years. And so I finally started going through them, see what I had. I kind of knew what I had, um,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize how much some of the books had increased in value. And I had some Spider-Man key books. And so I initially kind of got back in without the intention to collect, but I started selling these books.
Yeah.
And I went to eBay and started listing on eBay and started selling books. And I picked up a few. I then kind of got the bug of flipping these books because I had a ASM 252, ASM 300, all raw books that I had picked up in the 80s that I sold.
Oh, wow.
And uh, I kind of regret that I did that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I, I made obviously some good money because these were books that I had picked up at cover price, 30 something years ago. So, and
Mm-hmm.
then I bought a few collections. I found two collections on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and bought two collections. Probably one collection had about 10 long boxes, and another collection had like 15 short boxes. So I picked those up and started flipping some of those books. But then I started to get back into, reading, and then started collecting again, and really then stopped um, selling books.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point I said, well, I went to YouTube to try to figure out how I could send books, like ship them, because I had no idea. I knew I obviously had to protect them well if I'm shipping them. And so I went to YouTube to find out how to ship a book. And I
Yeah.
stumbled onto a bunch of other, comic book channels.
Mm-hmm.
And then I slowly started to get the bug to collect again. And then at some point I said, well, I was still selling a little bit on eBay, that I could produce a weekly video of what I've sold on eBay. And then it kind of just snowballed from there. And then, I started discovering more and more channels. And then I started buying, I set up a pull list. And then, a couple months in, I was back into collecting, full time, and then started my YouTube channel.
Well, that's cool. Now you do several types of content on your channel, from the mail call like you uploaded earlier today, um, to your Spider-Man reviews, the comic book reviews that you do. You do interview style lives in the form with a comic book community 411. And you also do the Breakfast with Brian lives on Saturday mornings. What out of all the content that you put out, what would you say is your favorite content to make?
it's the interviews with other community members. I mean, because it's one-on-one, and I'm able to get to know them a lot better and know their story. Um, so that's always fun because it's sometimes you do, like you're asking me some personal questions about my background and where I grew up and things like that. So
Yeah.
you get to know the person a little bit better. So that's one of my favorites. But then the live stream too, the Breakfast with Brian is really, I decided on that time slot just because it worked into my schedule. I could do it on a Saturday morning and then kind of go off and do the things I had to do on the weekend, errands and stuff around the house. But
Yeah.
it it was also a time where not too many people had live shows on a Saturday morning, and so it worked for two reasons. But
Yeah.
now
Absolutely.
it's really grown into a big hangout, which I'm happily surprised that it's turned into that. And that's really my other favorite thing, because it's just, we were saying back, I was talking to you backstage and saying, like, I do like a bullet point list of things that I want to cover during that show, but
Yeah.
often the chat just takes over, and you get sidetracked with what the chat's doing. So
Yeah, and
um
it's definitely one of my favorite. One of the things that I look forward to each week. I'm off on Saturdays, so I enjoy waking up on Saturday mornings and checking out what everybody's been up to all week and kind of regrouping, seeing just a meeting up of the community every Saturday morning. And yeah, I've always enjoyed the Breakfast with Brian.
Yeah, I mean, when I started it, I really didn't think it was going to turn into what it has turned into. But I'm grateful, and I love doing it. Like I said, it's become the big hangout.
Yeah,
Um,
it draws a
so
pretty good crowd. Pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah, it does.
And it's
So
fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it a lot. But anyways, getting into let's talk a little bit about comic books for a minute.
sure,
Marvel or DC?
I really, I mean, like I said, my first discovery of superheroes was Batman. So I do like Batman. I've always liked the character, but from a reading standpoint, it's really always been Marvel for me because of I have the bigger love for Spider-Man.
Okay. And I was going to ask you what got you into collecting Spider-Man. I think you covered that a little bit um a few minutes ago. What got you collecting Miles Morales? Because you collect a lot of Miles.
Well, yeah, and that's I kind of knew about Miles when I wasn't collecting. I kind of knew that there was this new Spider-Man, but didn't know much about him.
Yeah.
Uh, but when I got back in, I wanted to learn about him, and the fact that he hasn't appeared in any live action yet.
Yeah.
That I figured, I better pick up these books now before they get too pricey where I can't pick them up and have them in my PC. So that was one of the
Absolutely.
main reasons there was some urgency to get them before they kind of went. And some of the books, some of the number ones are getting pretty pricey. I mean, obviously, Ultimate Fallout 4, his first appearance is pretty expensive. But it was also, now I wanted to learn more about him as a character, as another Spider-Man. Uh,
Mhm.
and I saw Into the Spider-Verse and was blown away by that movie and the animation style. Um,
It was good.
so
I enjoyed
yeah,
it.
yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. Let's see. Okay. Name, let's what is your
Lady Fantastic
favorite?
says I like duck racing. I do.
Yeah, the duck races are fun. People really get into the duck races. Let's see. What is your favorite series currently running? Sorry to
Uh,
put you on the spot. I
no,
just
I think I've really enjoyed Moon Knight and Daredevil. Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil's been really good. And
Yes.
I got back into Batman on issue
Okay.
125, and Zdarsky's writing that as well, and that's been pretty good. I've enjoyed getting back into reading Batman. So
I haven't been on that run in a while. I was on Batman for a little while in the early 100s and it was good. Um I trimmed down my list and somehow that title didn't stick, but I enjoyed it while I was reading it. And Nightwing was really good.
yeah, that I didn't. I picked up an issue here and there, but I never really I read it. But I know that was a lot of people were talking about that for a bit. The Nightwing
Mhm.
run.
What are 5 cover artists that you enjoy that you look for when you're in the shops?
You know, I like Bagley. You know, Mark Bagley on Spider
Of
Man.
course.
So,
Yes.
but I don't typically. I haven't really kind of locked in on a favorite artist right now. I think Art Germ, Rose Besh does a really good cover.
She's great. Yeah.
Peach Momoko, she's kind of hit or miss for me. Some covers
Same.
I really like, some I don't. But she's done a few some Spider-Man work, Spider Gwen. There's been some covers that of hers that I like. I'm trying to avoid just strictly cover buying
Yeah.
because that's you just end up spending way too much money. So
Right. Well, that was kind of my next question. Cover A. I was going to ask you if you were a cover A guy or variants. If you pick up variants.
when I first got back in, I was kind of drinking from a fire hose and I was just buying everything. And so I've slowed down now where I'm picking up cover A. My pull list is set up so I get cover A's, and then I'll maybe buy one or two other variant covers that really catch my eye. But I'm trying to limit that because with some of these reboots like Amazing Spider-Man, the current run when they had I don't know how many they had like 25 cover A's or variant covers when the series got rebooted like 2 years ago. So you can
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
crazy trying to collect them all. So
Oh, they got me for about eight different covers on that
yeah,
last Spider-Man run. Yeah, there was just so many good covers though. Art Germ, Besh, everybody did a cover
yeah,
for that.
yeah, yeah. No, I bought a ton too, but
They probably got us all on that one. Now, you're the okay. Like I said before, when I introduced you, you're the president and founder of the CBC Awards, um, and obviously you put a lot of work into that. How do you balance that with having a YouTube channel, a family, a job, and also keeping up with the community, keeping up with all of our videos? How do you manage to do all that?
I think it's just blocking time. Like I said, I did have another hobby, the blog that I was running, and that took up a lot of my time. And now I've kind of replaced it with YouTube. But I try to balance it where there's nights where I'll just take the night off, like I won't watch YouTube. I'm spent watching a TV show or streaming service with my wife.
Yeah,
The early evenings right now have been tough for me because with the time change, moving the clocks and having more daylight now, or I get home from work and there's something to do around the house, or I take my dogs for a walk, those type of things. So I typically like between like 5 and 8. I'm so busy, so I'm not doing any YouTube at all, and then later in the evening I can jump back in. But I think it's just well, the other thing is too, I work, most of the work that I do is computer work. So I'm sitting at a computer most of my day
uh-huh.
when I'm not in a meeting or, conference call, something like that. And so I can, I can very easily have YouTube running in the background and
Okay.
listening in. So that's how I'm able to watch a lot of content is just kind of, letting it run in the background. And then I've even found my routine, like during the weekends, I used to always listen to podcasts,
Yeah.
put my headphones on and be doing stuff around the house and, lawn, yard work or whatever. And I'd be listening to a podcast. And
Hmm.
now I've replaced that with YouTube where I have an iPad and I just basically carry the iPad around with me because the one drawback of YouTube is it's video, right? It's a visual medium. And so when people are
Hmm.
showing off a comic book, you can't just you can just listen to it, but it's not the same. You want to see the cover that they're talking about or the slab they picked up. And so um only slabs on Saturday afternoon kills me because that's usually right when I'm in the middle of doing stuff around the house or whatever. And so
Uh-huh.
I'm walking around with an iPad, carrying it around wherever I'm going in the house or outside. And so because you don't want to, they're showing off all these great slabs that you probably have never seen, or maybe they're older books or whatever the case may be. And so yeah, so basically the weekends I carry an iPad around with me pretty much all day.
Okay. Now, I wanted to get into the CBC Awards a little bit tonight because I wanted
Sure.
to clear up some things for maybe, people out there that don't understand what the CBC Awards are about. Um, can you explain for anyone that doesn't know about the awards, what are the CBC Awards?
So these comic book community awards are a celebration of the comic book community on YouTube. And they're all it's driven by the community. So all of the nominations are done by the community, and then the finalists, whoever has the highest nominations in each of the different categories, will become the finalist, and
Mhm.
then the community gets to vote on the finalist and ultimately pick a winner in that category. Um, I think there's still a little confusion about that. They think, I do have a committee, so it's
Yes.
really just a group of peers from the community that help shape the the awards. Whether it's a category question, or if there was a tie, or if there was, we have some governing rules, which are on the website. um, but it's basically, I think the biggest misconception is people think like it's like the Oscars or the Grammys where we have this committee that's picking, and it's really not that. The committee could step in. We definitely want to make sure that all areas of the community are represented in the nominate. Oh well, not so much in the nominations. So nominations, just nominate whoever you like, but in
Yeah,
the finalist pool, we want to make sure there's diversity.
absolutely.
Female, male, couples. So the committee does have the right to maybe insert one of the finalists based on nominations. The channels have to be nominated in order to
Mhm.
make the finalists. They have to have at least one nomination. We can't just pull somebody random out that nobody in the community nominated and plug them in. So we do have that in there as a stipulation, just to, like I said, to make sure we're representing all areas of the community.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, like I said, I think that's the biggest misconception with the awards. And there was some, recent drama on Instagram about the awards, and because I think the person who kind of started poking at it didn't truly understand it, and so I was really surprised by um, the everybody that came forward and was backing the awards and backing me, basically
Yeah.
saying, hey, Brian's a great, a good guy, don't take shots at him. So I mean, I really appreciate that everybody came forward and really kind of was shooting down the guy, the other guy on Instagram who was kind of starting some trouble. So um and that really just shows me that the awards are growing, and they're gaining steam every year. Um, we're in year 3 now, so
Mhm.
um, yeah, I was happy to see that, and it just kind of in the back of my mind felt like, all right, well, people are enjoying the awards and they're willing to stand up for the awards, so it was good to see.
Well, and the thing about it is, I've heard some people say, "Well, it doesn't represent me," but it can though. All they have to do is reach out. It can It's for all of us. It's
Yeah.
nobody's being left out. Just like with the committee. Let's clear this up. How do you come up with a committee? What could somebody do if they wanted to be a part of the committee?
Just reach out. I mean,
And it's as simple as that, right?
it's simple as that. I mean, I don't think I've ever turned anybody away from the committee. Somebody just recently came forward and said, "Hey, I want to be on a committee." Okay, come on in. I added them to the our committee group on Instagram. So yeah, I want to have, and that's really the purpose of the committee, is to really have different voices to be able to help shape the awards, so that it's not only me making decisions, that it's a group effort, and we have, like I said, different areas of the community on the committee to help, because I may not think of everything. I may overlook something, and so I like to have other people's opinions to help shape it.
Right.
So, and I
Absolutely.
don't want to put all that pressure on myself as well to
Yeah.
say, that I'm the sole guy coming up with everything. And if somebody, um, you because it just happens. Like Marcus, I put out a video on Instagram to promote it, and he's like, "Hey, you spelled something wrong," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I missed it." So sometimes I even need a spell check to help me. So
Well, Mark, you don't have to worry. Marcus is on it. You don't have to worry about he's got your back 100%.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
But okay, taking it back a little bit, what gave you the idea to start the awards? What made you want to come up, put the work in, and get this off the ground?
So part of the reason was because of the previous community that I was involved in, the personal finance community, the blogging community. They had an awards for that community, and
Okay.
so I was a part of it where my blog was nominated one year, and I I saw the recognition that went into that the awards brought to all of the community members. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I migrated over to YouTube and started getting back into comic book collecting, I was surprised that there wasn't an awards already because there were so many channels on in the niche, in the comic book niche, and there were
Yeah.
some really big channels, channels that 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 subscribers. And so I kind of started asking around if there wasn't awards because you know I don't know every channel that's on in YouTube on comic books, and so I was making sure that I wasn't going to be duplicating the effort because I had the idea. I said, well, I could take something that similar to what they did in the personal finance community and kind of mold it into for the comic book community. And but no, they had. I think somebody had mentioned to me that there was an awards, previous, or they may have somebody was talking about it, but it never got off the ground.
Okay.
I know YouTube does awards for creators, but you have to be a really big channel to be recognized by, by YouTube. Millions of views and things like that. And
Oh,
so,
I'm sure. I'm sure.
I started. I found channels like Freaky Louie who were so entertaining. A guy who's, dressing up in costume and doing, music parodies. And so I said, this community is so entertaining. And so, there's a lot of information being provided, on the
Mm-hmm.
hobby, on speculation. And so it just really kind of said, I said to myself, I said, I should try to put together, an awards to recognize it. Um, and that's really how it came about. I did reach out to a few people in the community to get their opinion on it. What did they think of it?
Yeah.
And most were positive and said, "Hey, you should go for it." And then I just kind of I jumped in. I mean, I think I started my channel in April of 2021,
Okay.
and I started kind of forming the awards in June of 2021. So it was very short after I started my channel that I kind of kicked off the awards.
Cool. Well, did you how did you first what were the first steps in getting it going? Like when you decided you wanted to do it, what were the first steps
It was
in
just
making
really
it happen?
coming up with the category list, and then figuring out the timeline. When how the voting would work and nominations would work. Um,
It
and
had
then
to take a lot of planning.
yeah, I mean, I'm a project manager by trade. I work in IT, so I'm an IT project manager.
Oh, okay.
So I'm I'm one of those guys that likes to plan things and break down a to do list or like a bullet point list. And so it wasn't too hard to start. I started drafting out some original, the categories, the initial categories,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then just coming up with the nuts and bolts of how would people vote, um, and how the nominations would work, how the finalists would work. I got some feedback from the community. Community. I didn't have a committee year one. We kind of
Okay.
added that later. So it was really just planning it, writing it down, getting my ideas down, asking a few people here and there, and
Mhm.
then kind of just finally just put it forward. Made an announcement on it.
Well, I actually was fortunate enough to get in. I got in right at the tail end of year one, but I actually got to see the first award show, and it turned out really good. It seemed like overall everything went well, and last year was a big success in my opinion. Um, what did you hit any bumps in the road?
No, I don't think I did. Well, I think I wasn't. I was surprised at the backlash year one. I
Yeah,
really
there because
because
there was a little backlash.
Yeah, there were people that were like, "What? Who is this? Who is this guy?" Because at the time, my channel was relatively small. Maybe 300 subs when I made the announcement, and so people were questioning me, like, "Who is this guy?"
Yeah.
He's a small little channel. What is he doing? Um,
Do you
eh,
think that people thought that maybe you tried to piggyback on the award show to grow your channel or something of that sort? Do you think it was something like that? Do you think that's where
uh,
it was coming from?
I don't think I ever heard that complaint. Um,
I'm just
to
trying to figure out the logic behind it because
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
never can understand.
I was surprised too because I really thought it was a positive thing for the community and a way
Yeah.
to celebrate the community. And so when people when they had a negative reaction to it, I just didn't anticipate that. Um,
Yeah.
uh, and 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 it affected me. It definitely I took it to heart because it was something I was working very hard on, and then for people to kind of crap on it
Mhm.
it was a little tough to take because I just didn't anticipate it. I really didn't think, and I should have known better because there's so much craziness on social media and stuff today where people love to take poke fun or talk negative about things. So
Yeah.
that was kind of a miscalculation on my part. I should have really probably anticipated that, but I didn't. But I started to almost go after it, like started to try to take on some of the people that were talking negative about it one on one, and started to get into back and forth with people. I made a couple top 10 videos, like poking fun at people that didn't like it, and I took a step back and said, and I don't know if it was somebody that said it to me or did I just realize it on my own that I had to kind of be above it because
Mhm.
if I was going to make the award successful, I couldn't pick fights with everybody who didn't agree with me or didn't like something I was doing. I really had to be above it, stay positive and just continue to move forward. And so I learned pretty quickly in that year one that I'm kind of the I have to be an ambassador for the community. I can't get into the fights on Instagram or in chats with people. And so um, and that really has served me well. That's really kind of kept my sanity now into year three.
Yeah, I was gonna say because you seem to handle it pretty well, especially compared to I don't know, just something about um, just a man crapping on another man's hard work. I don't. I was raised better than that. I would like to think a lot of other people were raised better than that, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Apparently
Yeah,
not.
yeah. I don't know where it comes from. For some, like if I have free time, I'm not going to go on the internet and start trying to crap on somebody. Like I have other things I can do with my free time instead of taking my time and energy to go out of my way to call something out and
Yeah.
be negative. I'm like I just don't have time for that.
Well, and the world has enough negativity as it is, and
Right,
the way I handle things is, if there's a comic book, for example, that I don't like, I just don't buy the thing and I don't talk about it. And
right,
I mean, and that's the way to handle it. I feel like you just don't pay any attention to it because when you're putting it out there, whether it be good or bad, you're promoting it, whether on purpose or inadvertently, you're putting it out there for everybody to see.
right,
So,
right. And that was the good thing in year one about any of the people that were negative about it because they were talking about it, and so it was you know
yeah.
it was helping me spread the word.
Mhm.
And that was I was like, okay, no, there's no such thing as bad press because by you talking about it and taking a negative stance, whether you're negative or positive, it's helping me reach other people that may have not known about it. So,
Yeah. They're talking
yeah,
about it one way or another.
yeah, yeah. So when things blew up just recently, this past week, again, I was like, okay, this isn't a bad thing because again, people are talking about it.
Hmm.
Maybe more people who weren't aware of it will be aware of it now.
I think
So
so.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay, I wanted to run through one more time. I know you talked about it already, but just so everyone's clear, how how are the nominees chosen?
So nominations are open, right? So May 13th, we're going to open up nominations. So there's going to be,
May
you
13th.
know, a certain amount of categories that'll be open, and you can nominate any channel that you want for those categories. I mean, there are some categories that have certain criteria, right? Comic book reviewing is one of the categories. You have
Uh-huh.
to be a channel that reviews comic books to be a finalist in that category. So when the nominations are complete, we'll go through, and that the committee helps me kind of go through the list of nominations
Yeah.
and make sure the channels that were nominated in a particular category fit that category, right?
Okay.
Um, you know, comic book reviews, right? You have to do reviews. Comic book, cleaning and pressing. You have to show some of that content on your channel. So things like that. That's one of the reasons the committee's there to help me kind of just validate that channels that were nominated are, fit the category. And then it's like I said, it's really the top 5 nomination getters become the finalist, and
Hmm.
then that list is published, and then the community gets to vote on who they think is their favorite, or who their favorite is out of the 5 finalists, and whoever has the most votes as the final, in the finalist will win the award.
And to vote, you vote by going on cbcawards.org. And
Yep. So everything's run through because there's really no good way to be able to do it on YouTube. So that was one of the things that I initially, year one started the CBC Awards.org website. And
yeah.
that's where everybody gets to, nominate and vote, through the website.
Okay, cool. So you heard it. If you guys, when the nominations start May 13th, so they go to cbcawards.org, and that's where you're going to be able to vote for your favorite nominees. And let's see, I had some stuff written down, and I wanted to really be sure to clear some stuff up. How do the sponsorships work? How can someone be a part of this year's awards if they wanted to sponsor a category, or even just help with some volunteer work?
Yep. So sponsorships. I've done a lot of outreach already, and I've had very little people get back to me. But we're looking for 2 different things. There's sponsorships for each of the award categories, and that's
Hmm.
basically a $25 donation. And it's the best comic book and pressing and cleaning award presented by S Vaughn 82. And so if you sponsor, you're the sponsor of that category.
Okay.
But I basically take that money that's raised, and that goes right back into the awards in the forms of the trophies, right? Because this year, and I haven't announced all the categories, but we're going to have 26 categories. So that's
26.
potentially at least 26 trophies, and some of the categories are duos or couples, or so there could be 28, 30 trophies depending on who ultimately wins.
Yeah.
So um, basically the sponsorships, that money gets put towards the cost of the trophies. I mean, I think last year I spent almost $700 in trophies.
Yeah, I was gonna say it would have to add up to quite a bit.
Yeah, so the trophies aren't free, right? I gotta purchase the trophies, get them designed, purchase the trophies, and then all the shipping, right? Then I'm shipping out to 26, 27, 28 different people who win. So
Hmm.
that's the one sponsorship is, like I said, $25, and you sponsor the category, and that money just goes back in. And then I'm also looking for like donations. I've reached out to a lot of the um, exclusive, unknown comics, and big time collectibles, and comic book companies like that, to see if they'll donate books,
Hmm.
so that we can give some prizes away. So you get the trophy, and then maybe some comic books. Year one, my comic shop actually donated $100 gift card for every winner,
Wow,
and
that's
so
awesome.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
that was a bit. I was surprised, and so everybody that won an award got the trophy and $100 gift card to my comic shop. So
I didn't know that.
which is
That's really
amazing.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an amazing donation that they did. So
So those sponsorships, I mean, that's really important. I didn't.
yeah, yeah, it's important because if not, it's coming out of my pocket, and so which is okay. Like if, but last year we had sponsor for every single category. So big thank you to the the community who sponsored. We had um, some categories were I mean some people sponsored multiple categories.
Yeah.
That was a big help. To keep costs down for the overall awards.
Cool. Well, over the last couple of years, we've kind of had a little bit of a rivalry develop, and I wanted to talk about that for a minute because it's been really fun. Honestly, it's been fun to watch. But when I say rivalry, I'm referring to Bueller and Reggie Collects.
Yeah,
I wanted
yeah.
to talk about that for a little bit.
And I got to witness it firsthand at last year's New York Comic Con. So in October, I was at New York Comic Con. Reggie was there, and Bueller were there, and Bueller was basically giving Reggie the business on beating him out in year one because Bueller won for best series, comics and coffee that he does with Bullseye Bob, and
Which
so
was an
he,
amazing live show.
yes, oh yeah, yeah, a great live stream that they used to do every Monday, and
Hmm.
he basically beat out Reggie from Reggie doing a sweep of all the categories, and so Bueller was really giving him the business, and they were
He was.
joking around. They were having a good
Yeah.
time,
Yeah. It's all good
and
fun.
then Comic Tom was there as well, and so to see Comic Tom, Reggie, and Bueller all together, just kind of mixing it up. Some of the bigger channels,
Hmm.
that are in the community. So yeah, it was all in good fun. But you could see that Reggie definitely was. He was hoping that he was going to win all the awards that year, but Bueller, sweat was able to pull the rug out from under him. So
Yep. And then this past year, though, who won the big award?
well, Bueller was so year one, Reggie won lifetime achievement, and now year
Yeah.
two, Bueller won it. So
Right.
overall, Reggie has been very
So it's
successful
been a
with
back and forth, though.
yeah, but Bueller's got two of the big ones, right? He's got the lifetime achievement, and he's
Hmm.
got the best show. So he's got two of the big awards. So and well deserved because he's just I know you've met him in person, got to see the bus in person. So
He's a
I
great
mean,
guy.
just a really really nice down to earth guy. And so I was very happy when he won.
Yeah, it's you never know how somebody's gonna be when you meet them in real life, compared to when they're on camera, But I could vouch for Bueller. He's an awesome guy. He was a
Yeah,
lot of fun to be around.
yeah,
A
yeah. Just a
lot
great
of
guy.
fun.
Yeah.
Um, and it's fun. The CBC Awards, aside from those two, it's fun to see the competition, and it's just fun, the interactment of the community and everybody. It's something everybody can get involved in, and it's something that I've always thought was a good thing. And I definitely wanted to have you on here tonight to clear some of this stuff up. Is there anything else you want to talk about? That's everything that I have regarding the CBC Awards.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing is that we'll continue to evolve it, year after year.
Of
As
course.
the community changes, as if certain things are happening in the community, we may change categories. We're adding a few categories this year,
Hmm.
and we're adding another award in each of the tiers. So the thousand, under 1,000, between 1,000 and 5,000, and above 5,000. So it's really just we're going to continue to pivot with the community and try to make it um, as fun as possible. So
Awesome. Well, I want to touch back on you as a person for a second. What does Brian LCS have coming from his YouTube channel in the near future? What can we expect?
This week I just have some. I had a couple of Spider-Man reviews that I'm going to do, but hopefully in 2 weeks I'll be back with a new 411.
Awesome.
I was on vacation and out of town for like a week, so that kind of threw me off. Then got back to work, and I was busy with work. Had a lot of stuff to catch up on being out. So I'm hoping to get back to a 411. Regular schedule of the 411 on Fridays. And then, we'll continue to do Breakfast with Brian. And
Hmm.
then, once we get into the nominations in May, I'm sure I'll be doing a little video or live stream here and there just to update everybody on, the Comic Book Community Awards as we, progress into this year's awards. So, but yeah, kind of more of the same, Monday mail calls and reviews and 411 and the breakfast show. It's pretty I like to have that kind of formula so that I know what I'm producing,
Yeah.
know what I have ahead of me. So,
Well, hey, JLS Comics has a question for you. He says, is there an above 40K category?
well, the only category we have, so it's above 5,000. So the tiers we have right now are under 1,000, between 1,000, 5,000, and then above 5,000.
Hmm.
So anybody above 5,000, whether it's 10,000 subs, 20,000, 100,000, could be eligible for those and nominated within those categories.
Okay. And if anybody else has any questions they want to ask real quick that I didn't manage to ask, go right ahead. But Brian, man, I appreciate you coming out tonight.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Good, always good to catch up and answer any questions, help clear up any confusion. So
Yeah, I hope we were able to a little bit tonight. If anybody needs to contact you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
on Instagram, it's Brian underscore LCS,
Okay.
or you can follow the CBC Awards. It's at CBC Awards on Instagram as well. Um, but yeah, Instagram is the best way. Just send me a message there.
Okay. Let's see. We got a question from Bryant, Couchin and Slouchin with C Bizzle. He asks, how can someone promote the award show?
Just share post out from Instagram. I've been trying to post pretty much every day on the CBC Awards Instagram, so you can share that out, or even mention it on any one of your videos on YouTube. Maybe mention it, leave the link in your description. It's just really yeah, it's really word of mouth and trying to hit. There's so many different circles on YouTube in the comic book community. People, there are certain people that run in a certain circle that watch certain channels. So
Yeah.
just really trying to get it spread as wide and far as we can so that we're hitting all the different little corners of the community. So
Okay. Tony Comiverse has a question. He asks, what is the time frame for nominations? How long does the channel have to be around to be nominated?
So there's no real restriction in how new or old your channel is. There are some categories for best new channel, so a channel that has recently started. There is a category for best unknown channels for a channel that's under 100 subs, um, and so they basically those timeframes kick off during the beginning of the nomination period, and that they'll all be spelled out in the categories. But generally, um, there's really no restriction on how new or old your channel is. So
Okay. Gene Malo asks, Brian, do you think that me winning 3 times in 5 weeks is considered rigged?
no, I don't think so. It's a random
Yeah.
draw. Gene is referring to so every on the Breakfast with Brian show we do a weekly giveaway, and
Uh
Gene, I think, yeah, Gene's won. I didn't realize it was 3 times in 5 weeks, but no,
huh.
it's a random thing. Customs in Canada may think it's rigged, and that's why they held up his last winnings for a couple days, but or maybe they were just reading his comic books. I'm not sure.
um, Tony's Diecast Customs has a question. He asks, "Is the CBCA open to everyone who makes comic episodes?"
Yes, yeah, it's open. Yeah, I mean, we are really kind of trying to stick to, because there's so many different collecting, people that collect. Tony collects diecast, right? But Tony does some comic book stuff. So, um, you could certainly be nominated for um, an award, even if you're not if your primary collections are not comic books. There's a number of channels that do, comic books, pop figures, a variety of different things. Um, Slim's collections, or Slim's Comics and More, and
Uh-huh.
his new name is Slim Collections and Food. He does a little bit of everything on his channel. He's been nominated for a Comic Book Community Award in previous years. So
Okay. Well, let's see. I think it's 8:26. We got a couple of minutes. I guess I could run through. See, I got the schedule right here. I could run through it real quick with them.
yeah,
The
sure.
2023 CBC Awards schedule, from May 13th to August 5th is the nomination period. From August 6th to August 24th, committee review. August 25th, the finalists will be announced. August 26th through November 18th is finalist voting. And December 2nd is the CBC Awards show, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Well, there's the schedule, guys. I appreciate you coming out, Brian. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. I really, really appreciate you. You've been a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Hopefully, we cleared up any confusion and
I hope
answered
so.
some questions. So yeah.
I hope so. But everybody be sure to flip over to Roscoe's channel tonight for Between the Lines here at 8:35 p.m. Him and TM Nerdy, they have special guest Old Wolf 65. It's going to be a fun show. It always is with those guys. But I appreciate you guys coming out. Much love, everybody. Thank you once again, Brian, for coming out. You're welcome here anytime, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
It's I have so much love and respect for you, and kind of like a mentor to me, and I appreciate everything that you do for the community.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
But thanks, guys. Until next time, peace.
Yeah, thanks for the chat, hanging out, and